In 1900, Galveston, Texas was in the midst of an economic powerhouse, holding access to new technology planned to be used across the state and the nation. This includes access to the first telephones and electric lights in the state of Texas. Alas, one storm changed the fate of the city, abandoning resources and killing thousands of individuals. This storm changed the future of hurricanes and storms in the United States. Due to the actions of one man who was a U.S. Weather Bureau representative, Isaac Klein, we are able to take a dive into the story of what happened in Galveston before accurate weather forecasting, mandatory evacuations, and storm building codes. In the beginning of the 1900s, America was bustling with optimism and confidence. Galveston boasted the nation's biggest cotton port as well as the nation's second most traversed entry for immigrants arriving from Europe. This city contained more millionaires per street than elsewhere in the entire United States, holding abundant wealth. With this economic growth, the weather was deemed under the control of man due to the apparent rise of technology. The U.S. Weather Bureau oversaw weather monitoring networks that includes thousands of combined outposts, monitors, and stations located throughout the country. It is said that weather prediction was a completed science. However, on August 27, 1900, a storm was detected in the tropical Atlantic. This storm took route across Cuba and the tropical southeast region of the world, creating massive damages along the route. Within the next week, the storm made its way towards Florida. This tropical storm amassed great strength as it entered the Gulf of Mexico. When it reached landfall in Galveston, it intensified into a Category 4 hurricane. There were numerous newspaper articles written about the Galveston hurricane, showcasing the storm as well as eyewitness accounts. One publication in particular was written by the Houston Daily Post, the day before the hurricane had reached Galveston. This article was small and sandwiched between important news and advertisements, unable to be completely viewed. With the steady approaching of the storm towards Galveston, citizens were unable to view the significance of this impending storm. The issue with this is that it was blatantly shoved into a small section. There is no mention of death rates or citizens who have been hurt, just mentions of damages done to buildings or infrastructure. This article should have made front pages, giving awareness to the current disaster impending on Galveston. The U.S. Weather Bureau took note of the storm, but it was found that they didn't have access to precise weather forecasting later on. Isaac Klein, a U.S. Weather Bureau representative working in Galveston, sent out messages to forewarn the intensity of the storm to the community. The U.S. Weather Bureau shot down the initial warning and told Isaac Klein not to scare residents over the storm. During the precursors, the sky was clear and there was no initial warning when looking out over the water. Isaac Klein took it upon himself to release the warning to the 40,000 residents of Galveston, flying the red, white, and black flag in the sky. These flags represent hurricane warnings, which should only be flown if there are known causes for a storm that can affect the population. Despite this flag and the warnings released to the citizens, many ended up ignoring them. On the evening of September 8th, the tempest of wind and water slammed into Galveston. Isaac Klein traveled to the Gulf, creating detailed observations of the tide and the swells. The telegraph addressed to the central office at Washington read, "Unusually heavy wells from the southeast, intervals of 1 to 5 minutes. Overflowing low places south portion of the city, 3 to 4 blocks from the beach. Such high water from opposing winds never observed previously." Looking at this telegraph, there is an immediate rush of awareness of the storm's severity. After this telegraph, the U.S. Weather Bureau gave Isaac Klein backlash for this release, unknowingly shooting down the severity. There are issues within this, such as the safety and livelihood of all the individuals at stake. Within a few hours of making landfall, the storm had scoured vast sections of the city clean of any man-made structure. The water rose at a steady rate from 3 p.m. until 7:30 p.m., reaching heights of 15 feet above land. Roofs of houses and timbers were flying through streets as though they were paper, killing individuals who were endeavoring to escape the town. September 9, 1900 revealed the sights of the aftermath. 3,000 homes were swept out of existence, with an estimated 10,000 individuals demised to the effects of the storm. However, there was no transparent numeric amount determined of how many individuals suffered from this. Many of the bodies were found dismantled and unable to be accounted for. Throughout this storm, Isaac Klein stayed at his post on the water. He also ran through the streets, attempting to save citizens despite having his own family. His wife was ultimately killed while saving his children from the storm. Isaac Klein had written a special report on the Galveston hurricane, retelling the entire storm from an eyewitness perspective. Due to his heroic work, Isaac Klein was commended in a publication issued on October 5, 1900. The U.S. Weather Bureau realized what was going to occur in Galveston. It was just unknown of the exact damages that were about to occur. There are still numerous questions flooding history about this event, such as, what if the article in the Houston Daily Post was able to forewarn citizens more in advance? And what if Isaac Klein didn't risk his life for the individuals of the city of Galveston? Looking towards the future, media sources such as newspapers have become more ethical with these practices. We look back upon this article and realize that storms and hurricanes cannot have little to no importance to human lives. Realizing that due to the circumstances in Galveston, there have been implementations of more accurate weather forecasting, as well as an increase in radar systems and communication. Isaac Klein changed history due to his work in the field, and he continued to move forward in the city of Galveston and in Texas to work for the U.S. Weather Bureau. We can learn to look forward from this and prepare ourselves for impending disasters, such as hurricanes. Take note of media tactics and understand that one article has the power to change our lives forever.